Yo! Sorry I'm late. I had to stay late at work. Picking up planks full of rusty nails out of a pile of planks full of rusty nails. It's great. Great time. So I just had to stay and do it some more.
So, what are your impressions of the capital so far? How do you like London?
Oh, help. I've been so nervous ever since I got here. I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh.
We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here to the station. Everything's so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words.
I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded.
Do you agree, Aaron? Is London as sick as this guy's saying it is? Is it the epicenter of the world? Oh, yes. Astounded is the word. It's sickly, alright. Thanks for saving me there, Susato-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Doesn't sound like London to me.
Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we'll be hosting here in London.
Great exhibition?
Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history. It will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop.
Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's gonna be.
Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is at the center of the modern world.
Even if you do say so yourself.
The sun will never set on our great empire.
Not sure about that, buddy. Got some bad news for you.
Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times, we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun.
Lord Chief Justice? I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you?
Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if memory serves.
That's right.
The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship, bound for our shores.
That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived.
My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours.
Oh, thank you.
And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news.
Yes.
We are here in capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person.
They tell me you Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy. I see that's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means the study tour arrangement can no longer proceed.
If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madam?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal.
Woody now. Well, Mr. Naruhodo.
This is it then. Moment of truth. Thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you'd consider allowing the study tour to go ahead.
Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done.
Hey, hi, Cassie.
How are you doing?
Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean.
Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least, that's what I've been led to understand.
Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo, I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? It's me! I can do it!
Is that so?
I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but...
No qualifications, you say? And yet you claim to be a lawyer.
I've acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. I had Cosmo to help me, and I was the accused, glossing over the details. I was spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. Learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Booyah.
The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. Become a qualified lawyer here in Britain. Not only do you need a university degree in law, but you must also complete several years of training.
Realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. No one must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please!
31 seconds.
Sorry?
Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted.
A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer.
Oh! Thanks!
So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Huh?
Let me ask you one thing first, sir.
Yeah?
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yeah, that's my intention.
I see.
Am I imagining things? Or did this expression just alter a fraction there for all of a sudden?
Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become specifically certified lawyer. Specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really?
You very much would like to play this game?
I would recommend starting with the earlier games, if you haven't played them before. And then you could keep watching me play this, because by the time you get to this one, you won't remember it anymore. It's a win-win. No, but I would recommend the earlier games first. So, what form will the test take exactly? Well, the first case is always the worst, right? So if you only played through the first case, probably not that great.
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
Huh?
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as of yet, so this will be welcome news.
Today? Straight away?
You managed to secure a verdict of not guilty. You'll have passed my test. What could be simpler?
How do I get myself into these situations? Well, I could ask, what sort of trial is it, Mr. Strongheart?
Yes, good question. I remember.
21st night of September.
It's a murder trial.
A murder?
Extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
That's easy to say.
But I should mention, just in case, the defendant is found guilty. He will of course be sentenced to capital punishment.
Capital punishment? He'll be put to death?
In Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably, you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law.
You know what game I would recommend, though? as like your first Ace Attorney game, because it's my favorite Ace Attorney game, and that's the first Apollo Justice. The first Apollo Justice is so fucking good. Even the first case is good.
We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life.
I'm the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable.
But you can't do that. Can you?
There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you won't lose.
It might be a 3DS game. I think it's a 3DS game. The second one is definitely a 3DS game. I don't remember if the first one is. But maybe it's on both. Oop. History.
So the defendant may live or die, depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged.
Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. You want me to take you seriously. You need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What is it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test?
I'll do it. It sounds like fun gameplay.
Alright then. I have to give you my decision right now. I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So it is as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation's over.
Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance.
Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but what could I do?
It's alright. I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. A resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam?
I think what Miss Susato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer, I'd stay here in Great Britain. Risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel the exact same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see the trial as a test, some kind of experiment. Lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day. for each one of those clients. Particular day that they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh! Was there something else?
Approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailiff. Leave immediately. Should still be there in time.
But I just said that...
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case is literally no one to advocate for.
What?
At this point, can't hope to find someone to represent him. Trial will begin without a defense. If that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
That's awful!
But it is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Can y'all still hear me okay? Like, I tried moving the mic, like, slightly to the side of my mouth so that it won't have as many plosives. That's been annoying me in the recordings. Am I still, like, audible? Cool.
Please, don't expect an answer to every question. Cold hard truth of the matter is that there's only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
Really his only hope?
So, what do you say now?
B? What do you mean, Lord Strogheart?
You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether or not to defend a man in these circumstances. I agree. But in my estimation, purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Go!
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
He's God. The Old Bailey. We're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo. We must leave at once.
Of course we will. "18th of February, 9:45 a.m. Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 50 minutes until the trial begins. Never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. Thought my teeth were going to rattle loose.
That's an awful image to put in my head. I don't like that at all. Must have been such a fucking bumpy ride that his teeth were just like smacking against each other. He was like, sounds painful.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in it for you. That's one of my favorite lines from the Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. Not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were gonna die. And we have to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yeah, suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk says the defendant should be here. There's no sign of him at all. This is the Old Bailey. And this room for defendants to wait is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Feeling tense, that's all. The place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. Oppressive air. Almost as if the building itself is gonna crush whoever's about to be sentenced. It was like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're going to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. It's gonna be Herlock Sholmes. It's gonna be Herlock Sholmes. It's gonna be Herlock Sholmes. I'm telling you, it's gonna be Herlock Sholmes. It's not gonna be Herlock Sholmes. Top of the morning to you, madam. Sir? What are yous doing follow me here? Things are fair and desperate, ain't they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the East, are yous? We're from Japan, yeah. Ah, Japan is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do yous need? No, we're here because... No need to explain, fella. Been there myself. So I have. No place to go, nothing to eat. Barely a penny to your name. And all while in a strange faraway land. Well, actually, I haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand. Let me start by giving yous 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Miss Susato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area in Tokyo. What? There's nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy a city of London 2 or 3 times over. How much rain even fall in one day? Even so, I couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah! Hit me in the eye! Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, just a little embarrassing. Tell us about the beginning, you see, is my good old self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial's gonna start without me having any kind of representation at all. It was true. Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Buster and blazes! Do yous not know who I am? Me? One of London's biggest names? No, sorry. He only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just think the Hyde Park there in the centre of London is another beautiful park. Sorry? A park? What? It's called McGilded Park. Full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. Entire park in central London? A city of smiles. That's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city. And it's queer old people. Queer, queer, queer. Definitely saying queer, right? What's queer? Queer. Not square, but queer? Fuck's that? Are y'all familiar with this word? New to me. It's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. Ah, but now they got the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What's the matter with London police, I ask ya? Ah! Alright, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo. Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, don't have a lawyer for the trial yet. And you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands. We'll do our best. What was I after saying, you daft Egypt? I've give you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Yeah, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This chancer of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can he hire the finest lawyer in all England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well? Well... Not at all, I'm real naive. Not at all! Although... it's a little strange, to be honest. But you don't have a lawyer, I mean. That will be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry? Did he just say... Reaper? Aye. The Grim Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baruch Van Zeeks. He's the prosecutor. Prosecutor? Is the Grim Reaper? When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, he called his accused sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached a desperate situation, where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. I'd say he's the living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness. Lord Baruch Van Zeeks? He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor, then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial's about to begin.
His counsel? That'll be me. Ah! This time! Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Till you showed your face here. I made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. Would that have worked? Then you made an appearance. A student in law, wouldn't you know? There's no accident. I can assure you of that. There's fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about the man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know, that I can't just turn my back on him. Mr. Daruhodo. Man has no one. I'll stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yeah. Something Cosmo would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? You're late for the start of the trial. You lose your right to stand.
I'll be right there. It's happening then. First trial in a British court. Hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. I have no idea how I'm gonna manage this. Objection! I mean, I'm just practicing. 18th of February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. This is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. Centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? So different from the Supreme Court in Japan. Feels both imposing and serene at the same time. Atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yeah. What? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. He looks like Santa.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilden. I now call upon the counsel for prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is fully prepared. I must be the Reaper of the Bailey. Really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. He asked if the defense was ready. I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me. Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your intrepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look, sacrificial lamb.
Cold shiver just ran down my spine, all the way to the tips of my toes.
2 seconds.
No, Mr. McGilded.
Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder. Capital offense. You could have been sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. And if the fella's a student from a little island off in the Far East, is it not the British way to enjoy dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud.
A fine gentleman on the... Did you hear he donated £5,000 to the government the other day?
Mother, please, may we go play in McGilded Park? Seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded.
That's not gonna last.
It's definitely welcome news. And he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded. In the most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I hardly need to remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
The manner his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Actually, I agree.
Any criminals here should be wishing they'd never set eyes on me.
I feel it chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Mr. Naruhodo, those people are... Jury. Yeah. It's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only ever read about it. Here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes the sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense.
Ancient Orc says, "Oh my god, stop showing off your brilliant British accents." Yeah, they ain't that good, man. I appreciate it though. Nah, but that was like one of the reasons that I wanted to play this game, because it'd be so fun to do a bunch of different British accents.
So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. How exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it'll become clear as the trial progresses. Yeah.
Prosecutor Van Sakes.
My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So what brings you back? is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware?
Leave that to your imagination, my lord. The Reaper's been out of action for 5 years. How do you have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
I pressed the wrong button.
Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. Court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. You must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place late in the evening. 3 days passed. The hour was 7 minutes after 10. The victim was a baker of building bricks known in the community. Bryce fired Mason. Sorry? Bryce?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen, believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here's the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
At least they say photograph now instead of fucking photographic print.
And one further item of evidence. Prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are... Good Lord! Is that blood, counsel?
Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who was insane. 4 soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the arrested.
What?
Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them?
Sorry to mention this again, but you guys can hear when I'm talking as the vampire guy, right? Because, like, I just want to make sure. It's not, like, cutting off right.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
Cool. As long as you can hear.
How did I get into this? I backed into a corner before I even started. Then, according to the driver, only 2 passengers traveling this vehicle. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers dazed. It's the Mason. Other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you? What a
course, I have no recollection of such a thing.
Mr. McGilden!
Be sure, I rode the same omnibus that evening. Whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? It's the motion of the carriage, my lord. Well, then so it is. And when I opened my eyes again, there was a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. No excuse. What good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give them on a hand.
Blood got on the gloves then, after the man had been killed.
Fortunately, statement of the drivers is beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stopped.
Order, order, order.
The killing took place. Only the victim and the accused were inside the car. There were witnesses. Not just a case of compelling evidence. It is the nail in the coffin.
Thank you, counsel. Circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we'll hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
This is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once.
Look at this cheeky chap.
Witnesses, names and occupations.
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. Oh, I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairbairn. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. Lady First. I'll make hats for gents.
Let's begin by examining the facts. 3 days ago, a short time after the all of you present in the stand at an omnibus. Witness. That correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir, that's right, sir.
Very well then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had quite a few customers. I remember it well.
Victim and the man accused of killing him was sat next to each other inside the bus. And out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus. And then, I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel?
Well, his testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen inside of a moving carriage. Oh, wait. Read that the civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. Boy in London yourself, are you really so ignorant of buses? Huh? Tell me, my Nihonese friend, have you ever traveled in a bus? Well, no. Only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us to see it for ourselves. The actual scene of the crime, Max. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? The carriage is designed to be moved after all. Presumably you wouldn't know that much. Yeah. The omnibus in which this bloody crime succeeded in. Very big. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff. Bring forth the stricken omnibus. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. Can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses. Carry up to 8 passengers. All passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin. The other 4 on the rooftop. Off. Every Londoner knows. Best views of the city architecture and sights. Bad for And I should point out to our foreign guests, there's a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the area from above. Ah, a skylight! Oh! Penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen are occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That's how they came to witness this grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years at the bench, I never experienced this crime scene itself being brought to the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage. I would like to submit the omnibus itself, evidence. That, prosecution's wish.
Very well.
I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I helped myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I'll be back.
Plosives it is. It was not coming through. Let me look at the omnibus real quick. Okay. I could do that.
You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening. That's for sure. Yes, there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us.
Phoenix Wright omnibus? Okay. Alright. I see you. Find anything out of place?
Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of the murder. It's horrible.
Murder, 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 murder.
It's blood that's soaked into the seat. Victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat will be clearly visible from the roof deck. Did you really stab someone in full view of the other passengers like that? I wonder. Well, it was after dark. There was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event.
What the? Can't find anything out of place. What's this then?
See, it has a handle, it seems. Looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair the wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coach to keep his things, it seems. Doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it will be very convenient for that purpose anyway.
But somebody could hide in there. Yes. I don't see anything else that's in. Maybe. All right. Let us continue with the proceedings, then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray, don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of British court cross-examination rights.
Hey, Aaron, if you're around, how often do you as a British person say pray before your sentences? Because British people here say it all the time.
All right. First cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus.
Customers, I remember it well. Him and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Sat next to each other?
Hold it! And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage?
That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, windows right there at your feet. The lamp on inside, so I had a pretty good view. Two of them were wearing hats. Couldn't exactly make out their faces. There's not a shred of doubt in Mr. McGilden.
How can you be so sure?
Well, how could I put it politely? Gilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget, when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here.
I really wish there was.
Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into their guts.
Hold it! You stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing a little gent sitting next to the fella that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see. I was gazing absentmindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Ah! That didn't help me at all. Jury look like they're even more convinced the client did it than before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Oh, yes, sir?
Is this the knife you saw?
No, good grief. Yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that?
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart. Is a blade of considerable size, counsel? It is. Furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M. Which seems oddly familiar.
Oh, please no.
M for Magnus, perhaps. Or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. Seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this is the weapon of a murder. Almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
Lord!
Jury number 3. What's the meaning of this?
Mine's made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something. Or other than they shouldn't be. Every one of them. That little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, can't fool me. There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's just my opinion on the matter anyway.
That's precisely what I was about to say. As to the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors.
What's happening here? Let me see. Yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. If those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. Hold it! What exactly did you see? Well, sir, that'd be passenger, sir. It's collapsed on the floor, he was.
By the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim. Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And then the other passenger had that knife in his hand, and it was like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilden.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What?
Lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. Juror number 2, go on. Mr. McGilden is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service always must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish.
No! I don't wish to cause offence. I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in position to draw the only logical conclusion. Not again. That's 4 out of 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. Oh, we've had it. Every time I press the witness for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks, I'll fly. Mustn't give up hope. We'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Alright, so when it happened, only 2 people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be? Before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witness statements again, a little more carefully this time.
Last bus of the evenings, I had a few customers. I remember it well. Victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. And out of the blue, the accused reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
Hold it! You actually saw the moment it happened?
Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days?
Oh, no, I didn't mean all that. This is no good. I really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if you don't mind.
Why don't you ask the young man next to me?
Oh, me? Well, yes. Huh.
Okay, so here's my thoughts, right? One of these guys' statement contradicts with the other guy's statement, but I don't have any evidence to show that. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Hold it! Yeah, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
No, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes. Ever so cold. I was freezing, in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, no.
There were no other passengers when the incident took place. No alighted, for example.
Quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. Nope, none.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime then?
I have to say, the boss insists on running it. He does every evening. That last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, it's sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what it's been so cold and everything, and making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much on the pub on the way home, just to warm up again. Oh, I just can't believe it, sir. Can't believe it. Murder on my own bus? It's too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened.
Lord, I wish to speak. Here's juror number 5. Do I take that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. Well, I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say.
No, please. Just keep an open mind for a little longer.
Gee up, Silver Blaze. The finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You've heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Oh, dear. The thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. Always go to the park around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. It's a lovely little park just nice near where I live. The Gilded Park it's called. A gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city.
That's right. A man like that wouldn't stab someone, would he? Surely. Mother, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of man is he?
The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client's a Shylock, sir. One with the very darkest of souls.
What? Stone the Crows!
Gilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes the possession of everything they own. He's like a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that...
The victim, a poor brickmaker, and next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment debt of his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickmaker was destitute. He'd lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, his pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him. His life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly. Miss Susato? You claimed that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where's the evidence to support your claim?
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law.
Aha! There it is! Lord Van Seek's hallowed chalice!
How can this be considered acceptable?
But I find myself in an expectably good humor. I'd heard the ladies from the Far East show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As judicial assistant to the defense, I'm simply doing my job.
It was a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh!
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I'll gladly accept this new evidence. He's wacky, dude. The prosecutors in every game are amazing. They're like the best part. Oh, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
He's such a pretty little pug too. What a scoundrel!
Steal? Maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before. I don't stand for nonsense. That was it. Last juror's decision. According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver a final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. Final verdict? It's over then. Go! There's a footnote, though. Footnote? However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in the case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Susato, just tell me one thing. Yo, guess? You were in the middle of saying something before. Footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense. What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation of examination of the jurors at this point. Summation examination?
Objection!
A summation examination. From which century has that tomb there been resurrected?
Duh!
Judging from the binding, I'd say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Go. What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination. I mean, keep watching the stream and you will see him scared for sure. He'll have a moment where he'll falls apart. They all do. No, one moment. I'll read about it. Actually, it might happen, like, right now.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nihanese.
Right, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, you'll be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leading and reverse their decision. And it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the tribunal must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions?
Yes, in times gone by, the barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. That procedure became something of a formality, with no practical benefit, really, so it just fell out of use.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone no self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? I think we should give up. Right now. Summation examination. A last possible option. Do we desert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? You gotta fight for your right for summation. The defense wishes to assert its right to summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection! Objection! But if it's alright, it's alright! I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready?
Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received. You say so, huh?
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decision and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Oh, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. Not to mention, no mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying look. It seems to have thrown the jurors off. Seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, summation examination. Defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. Might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds of which you found the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime.
The jurors' contentions.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it had to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. All passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him, right like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I've simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence in years.
A scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get 6 of these people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh?
Hell yeah, dude, do it.
Thought I was gonna have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusion by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. And what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right. I'm sorry. Have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to be present a united front, but the truth is, they're complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. You must listen carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we can contrast the statement and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. There's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find the contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right, might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start the proceedings, counsel? I would like to ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord.
The defense's rebuttal. There's no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it had to have been him. Trust the driver, he has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. Stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. Thus far, drawn a logical conclusion. We trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised our prices above 4 pence for years. 4 times 4 is not 20. Stabbing that poor man on the floor. That's not accurate. No, it's pretty easy.
Is that perhaps what you were just thinking? How did you know? Well, I took the liberty of doing some research in case you happen to find yourself in such a situation. Shall I read you what I found out? It's a little long, I'm afraid.
Alright, fine. Do the tutorial.
Very well. Listen to this. During the summation examination, you will hear assertion of the 6 members of the jury. In this situation, the counsel for the defense should use an R and pit with impunity. Having done so, you'll be able to compare the chosen assertion with those other jurors. Select the corresponding buttons to listen to the other jurors' assertions again. Note that you cannot choose the assertion of the juror you initially selected. Nor can you choose assertions of jurors who have changed their leaning to not guilty already. Once you've compared the various jurors' assertions, work out which one of the two contradicts each other and then pit them together with an R to pull them apart. I see. I wasn't joking when she said it was long. First step is to listen very carefully to what each individual juror has to say. Then I'm sure you'll start to see which ones might not quite agree with each other. Alright then. Let's get this right now, so I never have to listen to that long and boring explanation again. That's the spirit.
No, forward.
Objection!
His objection's so weak.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Okay, I'm weak too, so.
They do? Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear. What have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's mane and name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares.
Quite right. Of all those precise details, typed neatly here in front of me.
And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
And it is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, leaves a glaring discrepancy of the facts.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact, or precisely, 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon.
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that this trial were to end now. The news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire to the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. You're all in agreement. Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Oh, this is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
Penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Though, well done, Mr. Naruhodo, you did it! We can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds. We can force the trial to continue. 2 more. Actually, there's something else that's been bothering me about a couple of their assertions. And that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it.
Well, the scales of justice have been lifted. Have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Okay. Look the chap next to him, just like this. Brazen, I would say. Absolutely brazen. Stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. Alright.
Objection! Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel. Post haste.
Don't deary me! I was only knitting the jumper for me other half.
What's all this claptrap?
What's contradictory even mean, I ask you? Heard from more than one witness that they all allegedly saw the actual moment where the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can't you see I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Wanna test me, do ya?
Just like this. Stuck the fella next to him without even getting up, like a prim banker said.
Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6. Dude, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, what's here? As far as I understood it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at those 2 jurors together. He stuck the fellow out next to him without even getting up. and he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing him in totally different directions.
What? Bless my stitches! What a muddle! What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
No. But why? Why the dickens would they lie?
I don't know that yet, but what I do know, that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen? In all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales.
I don't believe it.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some sort of devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
If I could use magic, really think I'd be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jenks.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of the event?
What of it?
Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat down next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that,
What are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Ready to kill each other now.
Yeah, the scales thing is great.
Could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? It's out of the question, baby. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you Dark Jenks? Come out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What? What are you talking about, man? How could you possibly say that? You do realize I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So, where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to say. Say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. You say that's out of the question. Show me some proof.
Looks like the only way I'm gonna convince him is present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof.
Yeah, they're wildin', dude. Gives the cause of death to as internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. Abdomen. I hate him in the abdomen. I stabbed him with my knife in the abdomen.
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen.
Well, the glove is supposedly just bloody from trying to help the guy. So, if I presented the glove right, I would be admitting that the glove was part of the murder, and the glove belongs to the guy. That's not a great thing to do, I think.
According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Ah! Only once!
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Yeah. Alright. I concede defeat. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
Well, we had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one.
And if the chap even dares to cross the threshold of my shop,
I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation of the examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue.
And the trial will continue tomorrow, because my voice is fucked. No, it'll continue on Monday, because my voice is fucked. And it's the weekend. Monday, not tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And Ghosty, thanks for watching the VOD. I appreciate that as well. That's right, buddy. I caught you. Okay. Bye, everybody. I'll see you Monday.